that. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our December 2018 webinar, The Law of Receiving. I'd like to tell you a little bit about our Mastermind magic. When two or more people come together in conversation, a synergy happens and ideas that would not otherwise come to mind reveal themselves. And that is the magic of the mastermind. Today, we are here to use the power of a mastermind to provide you with real action steps that you can apply immediately. And who are we? We are a group of life enhancers who are highly trained, deeply intuitive, and have a passion for helping people. We are here to help you take the steps to live a life you love living. And we have a disclaimer, and that is, we are not doctors or therapists. It is important that you seek medical direction from licensed doctors in regard to any medical conditions. We simply offer alternative thought patterns, not with the intent to replace medical advice in any way, shape, or form, but to enhance understanding of yourself. And I'd like to turn it over to Athina.
Hello, everyone. Athina Salazar, and the Chief Possibility Officer with Life to Design and one of the members of Mastermind Magic. So we would really love for you to engage. If you have any questions whatsoever, inside of your chat area, there's going to be a button there near the bottom, and it gives you the opportunity to type in any questions that you have at any point. You can send that so everyone can see it, or you can actually click the three dots and it'll give you the option to send it to the presenters only. So that will mean we will receive it. We'll be able to see that information and to be able to respond to your questions. So also there, you are welcome to follow us on Facebook. The link is at the top, and you'll be able to be aware of all of the different things going on with Mastermind Magic, events coming up, anything like that. And also at the end of this webinar, there's going to be a special gift for you that we'll be presenting. And today is the last part of our 12-part series. We've been covering all of the universal laws throughout 2018. So if this is your first or one of your first opportunities to join us at Mastermind Magic on Facebook, there is the event page for this event, And all of the different webinars for the different laws are going to be in there for you. So you can look in the discussion area and be able to go back and watch those different webinars. Also, we have a YouTube channel where you can go on and find Mastermind Magic and be able to look at the videos on there as well. So thank you very much for joining us. So today we are going into, like Lisa said, the law of receiving. So what we're going to do is Lisa is going to start us off with a lesson, and we're going to be talking about that and all of the different tools that you can use, the understanding of that principle, and just how to have more awareness of this law in your life. So we'll go ahead and bring up Lisa. We'll get started. Thank you.
All right. And here we are starting with the law of receiving. Like Athina was saying, we have done 12 months of the laws, and this one we're ending on is the law of receiving. Oops, there we go.
Okay. Quite appropriate in the month of December, you know.
Yes.
All of our
yes, it is.
Gratitude and our thankfulness, and yeah.
Yeah. So if you give, it shall be given unto you. So giving is really the fundamental law of life. You know, when you think about getting, that's a very congested, distracted state where you aren't really able to receive, because one of the keys to the law of receiving is, in order to activate the law of receiving, you need to give. The mind is like a sponge. We squeeze it hard with anxious thoughts, and it is not until we can release the pressure and allow the sponge to take its normal shape that it become absorbent and receptive again. In other words, if you're holding tight and you're really not giving to anyone, how are you able to receive? Because when you're focused on only receiving without giving out, that puts you in that state of the sponge where it's really, there's a lot of pressure on it, it's closed tight. So the sponge cannot receive anything else to come back up to its normal state. So you won't be able to receive anything unless you give first.
Yeah, and also with giving, there's multiple ways of giving. It could be financial giving. Maybe you give money to a charity or something like that. Or it could be giving of your time, you know, giving of your time to be with someone, giving your love to someone else, just different ways. It's being selfless, I guess you would say, in the situation. And many times, and with the giving, it's giving freely of yourself without the expectation of saying, yes, I am definitely activating the law of receiving and I expect to get this, in more of a negative type of situation. So instead of doing that, you want to give freely and openly with a general expectation that I'm doing good in the world and I will receive, because that is how things work, instead of having a constrictive thought process of that.
Thank you for that, Athina. And the next slide shows us that if in your giving there is no principle of good in some measure, no matter how small, to add to, then you are casting your pearls away. And what that's really talking about is to give wisely, give where it will do the most good. So if you're giving to, let's say, a rescue dog or cat rescue, you wouldn't want to give them people food or balloons or cake, right? So you would wisely give them what they need. They need donations, they need dog food, they need cat food. and they need volunteers to help. So, in other words, give wisely so it will do the most good when you do your giving.
Yeah. And there's also giving. What comes to mind is if you have, say you have some negative people in your life and you are completely the giver in the situation, the giver of love and all of these different things, it may be a point where you're casting your pearls away. That's precious, and they're not reciprocating in any way. You can take that back for yourself and say, what I'm going to give to them is a good thought that they can actually have all of the abundance in the world. And I can freely choose to give my love directly to somebody else. And I will not allow the way they respond to me to dictate how I'm going to feel. So if your giving actually is tied to this feeling that you're going to have inside of you, and I'll expand on this a bit more later, but if that giving is constrictive to you in any way, then you're actually reducing the good that is actually being done. So when you give, it should provide you with a feeling of openness, provide you with a feeling of, I feel so good that I did that. It should never be out of obligation. It should purely be out of you giving to the world and to others.
That was beautiful. I love that. Thank you, Athina. And with the law of receiving too, along the same lines of what Athina was saying, the same measure in which you give, you shall receive. So if you're giving love, that's what you get back. And I'll talk about that a little bit more when you want to come up with a way to give and give wisely so that you receive what you are expecting and what you're giving. After we give, that is not all we must do. Our next step is to prepare to receive the response or results of our giving. And that's giving expectantly, giving knowing that we attract back to ourselves what we give and what we expect. So we should be continually drawing into life that which we give and we expect back to ourselves. Athina?
Yes. So when we're giving, it's to keep that state. So like we were saying, when you give, you feel open. So you want to maintain that state of being open. So then you're open to receive. It's almost like, I'm almost picturing like a funnel. A funnel, you're starting to receive, and then any negative thoughts are going to cause constriction, which is like the small piece. So if you felt open in the beginning of your giving, and then all of a sudden you flipped your funnel over and you had some constriction and you weren't staying open, if you had an abundance that was the top of the funnel size this big, and now you're this big, you can't receive that good that's coming to you. So that's the work of all of us, is to maintain that open state and that open feeling, that love that comes out. And you can recognize that there may be times where you felt like in your chest, a lot of times people feel an openness, that giving, you feel like all over your body, you have that very open feeling, and maintaining that as much as possible in your life as you're going through, so you can be open to receiving that. So that's your preparing, that you're preparing to receive any responses and any results of your giving.
Nicely stated. Thank you, Athina. Our preparation shows our active faith. Instead of rocking and waiting, we are preparing and working. And that reminds me of something I saw earlier. So giving and receiving is along the same lines of if you have a wood stove, in order to provide heat, you have to feed it wood. You can't just expect the heat to come to you. You have to feed it. And that's kind of the giving and receiving too. That's true with the law of receiving, is that giving, like feeding the fire, feeding your passion, feeding your love, you will activate the receiving part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And with that thought process, and also oxygen, that would be your working. You know, the oxygen that's around is your working. So your preparing is like feeding that fire, you know, putting the wood in there, doing all of that, attending to it. And then the working is the oxygen that's being provided. That's why it's working hand in hand.
Nice, I like that. All right. Action and giving disperses doubt and fear and energizes our power of reception. Why don't you go ahead with that one, Athina?
Okay. So yes, so when you give, you're giving openly. So if you are sensing any constrictive thoughts, maybe there's fear, maybe there's anxiety, just generally in your life, you are going to be closing yourself off to being able to actually receive. So that's where this is coming in. So that action and giving, what it's doing is, the more that you can stay open, the more that fear and doubt and worry are going to go away from you. You're not going to be attracting that, because what you're putting out is that giving mechanism. You're going to be received like to like. So that's why if you feel any lack in a particular area of your life, that's why you're giving in that area, because that is what you're looking to receive back. So what you're doing is, it's almost like, you've probably seen that before, where you throw a rock into the water. So you're throwing that giving out into the water, and then it starts dispersing out, you know, all those waves. You know, you've seen that before. So it's like moving, if there was fear, anxiety, all of those things that were in there, it's moving them out of the way. So then that will allow that receiving of what you're desiring to come back to you in that area. So that's where that moving is coming from, and energizing that power of reception.
Yeah, I can really see that, because if you're focused on only getting, and that's dominating your mind, then that really puts your mind in a paralyzed condition with fear, right? Because you're just worried about getting something from someone, and so then that fear comes up. And when you're focused more on giving, you're open and loving, and you are able to receive and not paralyze yourself with just getting something.
Yeah, and something that comes to mind is when people are out networking, like say, for example, you've probably observed this if you're out in a networking group, and if you come from the mindset of, how can I give? How can I maybe connect somebody with somebody else that I know, learn about what they do? How can I be of service to them? If you come with that mindset, more than likely you're going to receive or have people come to you, just you being present, to ask you what it is that you do. Like, I love your energy, you know, I love to be around you, something along those lines, just because you put out, how can I be of service? How can I give? And then that connects you with the people where you can give to them and be receptive. Now, if somebody comes into that same meeting and they're coming from what Lisa was saying, like, what can I get from this? Let me go ahead and get, you know, I want to obtain business, you know, I want to obtain, you know, some type of, I want to receive something like that. So that's all I'm looking for, is who can I talk to where I can get something? Then they're usually the people that come maybe once or twice and then they're gone, because they're all like, I'm just coming and burning through everyone, and I'm not really putting that, how can I be of service first? And people can pick up on that. So be very mindful of your thought that's going out there before you even get to the location, because you probably know of the people maybe in your workplace where you know that they're coming before they even enter the room, positive or negative. So if this person's coming, you're all like, oh, it just sucks the energy right out of the room. And then they're like, yep, we know so-and-so was just coming. You know that, or oh, I think so-and-so's coming, and then you feel energized. So what
Right.
you're putting out there, what you're giving through those thoughts that you're giving, that is what's being received by other people. And that's going to activate that power of reception for you.
Definitely. Definitely. I've noticed that a lot too. When you walk into a room with the thought of giving, people are more attracted to you because they can actually feel that you're there to serve them.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're only thinking about getting, there's a different persona about you when you walk into a room. So I've definitely seen that with networking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, going on. The key to this law is we are continually drawing into life what we give and expect. And one thing that I like to do is when I'm feeling like I'm maybe lacking something or in a bad place, what I like to do is consider where I am and where that lack is, and what would I love to give and to focus on giving others in that area, and then just really notice what happens. And an example of that is if I'm feeling like a lack of joy, then what I notice is if I go volunteer and I help people, I get that joy back tenfold because thing to help someone, and I'm giving to them joy, or putting them in a joyful sense by having someone help them, and I receive that back tenfold. And that's why I love volunteering. If I feel like I'm in a lack of love, there's so many ways to reach out and give love, even, just by giving someone a hug or spending more time with the people that you love, or even giving someone a small gift and just feeling that appreciation and love from them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're feeling, lack in a place, think about what you want to draw to yourself, and think about, that where is that lack in your life and how can you give that to someone else. That's been really, really helpful to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And with that, with giving, you also want to be mindful of giving to yourself. So some people may take this as it's all me giving to the universe. You're part of that. So when you are giving, giving to yourself is like self-care. So when you go, and maybe for some ladies, they said, oh my gosh, I love it when I go and I get my hair done. I'm giving myself that time to relax. Like if you have kids running around and all of that, nobody can bug me at that point, and I'm giving that time to myself. So things like that as well, because when you're giving, like say that's your thing. Your thing is to go get your hairs done, get your nails done, just like go and just have a spa day, or something like that. So you go and do that. What you do is you gave to yourself. You've received at the same time. You have that relaxed state. You have all of that. So when you come home, you're actually giving more of yourself to your family, because you are in a state. You're in a positive state. You're in an aligned state. You're in a place of calmness, which actually, the more that you do that, you actually notice that the people around you are reflecting back. You're giving and receiving. They're reflecting back to you that same state. you have that influence over the other people. They may not even know what's going on. They're just like, I just feel so much calmer. Or I just feel like this, I don't know what's going on. But that's coming from you. You gave to yourself, you were able to receive for yourself, and then you were able to then give. That's where it's talking about. It's continuously drawing on life. Either way, you're influencing the life and the energy around you. You may even notice this if you have pets. So if you have pets and you're in a state of calm, like especially, for example, with cats. With cats, they're very independent. They want, their own thing, So then when they can sense that you're feeling good and you have good energy and it just feels so nice, they will come and sit on you and want to be in your space. It's like, I don't want you to pet me or anything. I just want to be in that space. And when they've been full and they have had enough, they're all like, I'm gone. I'm gone. Or it might be a situation where your energy is somewhat uneasy. You may not find your pet. They're off in a corner. They're like, I got to get out of here. Like I have a client where she said that her pets know when her mother's coming, and they're like, I'm out the door. I got to go out in the backyard and play, for a while and be away, so that's where the life is more than the people around you. It's your pets. I mean, the same thing happens with plants. You've seen people, talking with their plants, and you'll see plants in an environment where they can't live. They die because of they're not being given any love or any life in that. So that's some information on this area of drawing into life.
Yeah, I love the reminder of self-giving too, because that really is important. Because if you are really depleted, you can't do too much to give to others, right? So that self-care is very, very important too.
Mm-hmm. And recognizing when that really should be activated for you. Like I'll talk in a moment about that, but it's just realizing, I haven't done anything for myself. It's all like, I'm here giving, and all of a sudden you're at the bottom of your cup of giving and you just can't give anymore. And then you start obtaining the feeling of guilt. Then that's when you hit that feeling of guilt, like I should be able to give more and I'm not. It's all like, and then you feel bad about it. That means that you're at the bottom of your well of giving. You've given so much that you haven't given to yourself. So that will trigger that for you.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
When a mind is confused, there is no cooperation, nor is there united force to attract the strength the thing requires.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to give that one to you. I don't have a lot to expand on that one.
So here, the mind being confused is not going to cooperate. So what this really is meaning is that when you're thinking about something and all of a sudden you have a negative thought about that, say it's a self-doubt. So it's like, I really would love to do X, Y, and Z. And then all of a sudden you have this idea to come in and say, you can't do that. There's no way that you could do that. You don't even know enough to be able to do that. So now you've got some conflict going on in your mind of what you can and can't do. So then your mind is confused. You're like, can I do it or can I not do it? I don't know which one I can do. So then your mind is like, I'm going to wait until you decide on which one, and then I'll open that channel for us to receive it. So anytime you put something out there and you're wanting to focus on something, and then all of these doubtful thoughts come up into your mind, it's like knocking it off the track. It's saying, I haven't quite decided if I want that yet. So don't quite give it to me yet. I'm not ready to receive it yet. So everything that you put out, every time you're in a situation and It's actually moment by moment. So if you're in this situation right now and you have a good feeling about it, you want to keep having that good feeling. If you're in a situation where you don't have a good feeling, maybe you're in a situation where somebody is being mean to you, or something like that. So in your mind, you're saying, this is not what I want. I want somebody that's kind to me. I want somebody that's nice to me. So then what happens is you've actually put out there, you've given to the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it, could be God, saying, I want kind people in my life. That is what I want. So then you're giving that information to the universe. So then what happens is if you continuously put yourself around negative people and you keep accepting that, then your receiving of those positive people in your life is not going to happen, because you've just created that conflict. You've created an environmental conflict. You've created a mind conflict, because now you've said, I will accept this level or this input into my life. So I don't really need this really good, positive people in my life right now. I'm good with this. So that's where your mind's confused, and it's not going to cooperate in the direction that you want. You'll be like, why is this not happening? Why is this not happening? Why are these negative people in my life? And it's like, well, you've been accepting that. So here, if you want those positive people in your life, it's just a matter of focus and environment. So now, instead of looking in this direction and accepting all of this, you look in this direction and stay focused on that and be like, I understand that you're there, negative people, but this is where I'm focusing. So they don't ever get into your feeling. They're not changing your state. So that's why I was saying, with an open feeling of love, you can still be in what would be termed a negative type of environment, like the people around you or the environment that you're in, but you can still maintain a positive state because you're staying connected to where you want to go. You're not there saying, okay, I'm going to hinge my feelings onto what they're giving to me. I'm going to hinge my feelings on what I've given to the universe and what I am going to receive from that. So that gives you some perspective on what forces that you're going to be uniting to come to you and attract to you.
Thank you for explaining that so well, Athina. I was a little stuck on that one. So there is a power within far greater than any difficulty you will ever meet. And that is basically talking about a lot of times we feel like our circumstances are difficult or too much for us to handle. But the power within us is far greater than any circumstance or condition within our lives. And the good way to remember that is one of the things I was talking about earlier is like if you're feeling a lack of something, like at some point, I was having some medical challenges and I wasn't feeling a whole lot of joy or happiness in my life because I was focused on the difficulties in my life. And what I did was I realized that I have the power to focus on the good. And so the things I was lacking, I felt were lacking in my own life that were making me discontent, I needed to give back. So I would volunteer with disabled veterans and help them do physical therapy and ride horses and be out there with us and have lunch and everything. And so by me giving of my time, of my talent, of my love and my joy of being around them, I received it back from them 100-fold. So, your power within is so strong. You really need to tap into that and to really notice the area that you're feeling lack. And then, because you know that with the law of receiving, the first step is to give. So when you're feeling that negative feeling, focus on the way you'd love to feel, the power within you that can give to others. Because by giving, you receive back what you are giving.
Mm-hmm.
So by reaching out to others, they send back to you the joy of spending time with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're open to receive it. If you're focusing on the negative, then you're not open to receive anything back in. Like Athina was saying, it's kind of like that funnel where it's blocked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And an idea that comes to mind is you may or may not be familiar with what a coaching relationship is or what is like or anything like that. So in a coaching relationship, you have a coach, say it's myself, say it's Lisa, say it's any of us here at Mastermind Magic. And with that, there's the client on the other end. Say it's you, somebody else, whoever that may be. So that person, what they are giving is honesty. They're giving vulnerability. They're giving those different things. So what happens for us as coaches, us being open, this is a skill that we work on all of the time. So before we start any sessions with anyone, we think, we're constantly in that state of, as I work with this client, please give me the words or the inspiration or anything that my client wants to hear, needs to hear in order to help them change the things in their life that they would love to change. So what happens is the client is giving their honesty, their vulnerability, their giving of themselves in that moment of you being together. And then the coach is able to receive the information and any type of guidance or insight to be able to share with that particular person that makes it so they can see things from another perspective. It's almost like that example where I was mentioning about there's all these positive people on the other side, but you're focusing over here. So we're able to receive and say, it's there. We see you having all of these different things. You've received everything. We can see that potential in you. We can see all of that capability in you. And what are the words? What's the small nudges of guidance and insight for you to have an aha moment to be able to then open up that gate of receiving? It's almost like we've given you the little key that you required specifically in order to open that door where all of a sudden all of that is able to come to you, because it was just something like you had a wedge in the door instead of a key. So once we take that wedge away and we give you the key, then you're able to open up all these different possibilities that you didn't know that you had. And we're helping to tap into that. So that's to give you some perspective of a giving and receiving on like a coach-client relationship and what that could potentially be like for you.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Another key concept for the law of receiving is you can get only the equivalent to what you give. You may make many mistakes. This enables you, by their correction, to better know the law. And it is true that within the law of receiving, when you're giving, you're attracting back to yourself what you're giving. In that equivalent, if you're not giving much, and it doesn't have to be money, it could be, just your time, your love, your talent, if you've got a specific talent that can help people. If you're holding back and you're not giving very much, then your expectation cannot be that you're going to get a lot back, because you only get the equivalent of what you give. So if you want more love, give more love. If you want, more joy in your life, be joyful around others. It's not all about tithing, about, giving money. There's so many different things that, like Athina expanded on a little bit earlier, that you can give to others. And you may not give at the level that you want to receive, but that's going to be your correction, where you're going to say, okay, so where am I lacking? Where am I not having in my life what I want to receive? And it's kind of like the stove too. The more you stoke the fire, the more heat you're going to get back. So think about that when you're feeling some type of lack in your life, that the law of receiving, the key concept is to give first, and also to give wisely and systematically, which is, give purposefully, give regularly, whether it's, volunteering or helping a charity, donating your time or your money. And also give knowing that we're attracting back what we give. And that's how you can really level out your expectation of giving and receiving.
Yeah. And it's important, like we've said before, when you have that intention or you're giving in some way. I mean, it can be giving as easy as when I get on the phone, I'm giving a positive experience. I'm intending to find out information, but I'm going to make this a pleasant experience. I'm going to give a pleasant experience. So then you're going to be able to receive that back from the other person on the line. You may have noticed that before. So that's even a simple, giving and receiving type of situation. But as we say, no one's perfect. No one does this 100% perfectly all the time. If we did, we would be walking around just receiving everything, that we've ever wanted as soon as we think about it. But there's that restriction. There's that restriction because we're going through this experience of our lives. It gives us the opportunity to make judgments on what we want, what we don't like, what we like, all of these different choices. And in making those choices, it actually creates that tension. Because if you're looking at something, you're like, I like this about it, but not really that created some restriction. So now you can decipher out and discern what it is that you really want. So you're always going to have some level of constriction, but the faster that you can shift that, the faster that you can have things be able to receive in your life.
Right. And another example of that is, what you're getting back is really a reflection of yourself. So if you're someplace and you're thinking, well, people aren't being very nice to me, I want people to be nicer to me. And then you react to someone not very nicely and you say, I should be treating people nicer. And it's really incredible how just a smile or a hello sometimes can really, turn someone's day around. I'm working downtown in the city now, and I have to walk a couple blocks to work. And it's so amazing every day, because I notice that as I'm walking in, there's so many people walking by. If I just keep my head down, I don't have a very good feeling. But if I walk around with my head up and I'm smiling at people, if I nod, I say hi, I receive so much back because of the fact that I'm giving, even if it's just a smile. It could really impact someone's day. Someone who's having a really bad day, and you just smile at them and say, have a good day. I mean, it's something as simple as that.
Oh yeah. And I forgot exactly who said it, but they were like, even if you didn't have anything, you were homeless, living on the street, you have something to give. You have a smile to give, or you have a kind word, or you have something. I think it might have been Gandhi. Don't quote me on that, but something along those lines is what they were talking about. You always have something. You may not think so, but you do.
Right. And that goes right into our next slide too, which is the individual who makes full use of what he has shall be blessed with more and more. This is the path of increase. That is the secret of the law of receiving.
Mm-hmm.
And
go ahead. I was going to give an example of wellness in this, of being able to receive more and more. So if we have, say we have a line, here, you can see my hands. I'm trying to see my hands. So you have the line, and say this is the positive side of things. So you see things in a more positive light, in your life. You're operating more from contentment. You have calmness. You have happy, excitement, sometimes joy. You're on this side of your life. So as you go through on this spectrum, so say this is a spectrum of feeling, and depression is at the end of this side. And as you go along, and then you get into this middle ground of frustration or overwhelmment or uneasiness or anything like that. So maybe you've generally been in this area of positivity and you've moved along, and now you are sitting in some uncomfortable, uneasy, frustrated state. That's when illness is going to start. So that's when you're going to get that cold, or you're going to get, some type of physical, response to that sore throat, like the coughs or whatever. It's letting you know that you have moved your focus from this positivity into this overwhelmment, and you've sat a little bit too long here. Like, you can come into this space and have awareness and then start to move back. So you have that power to do that. And then here, once you're in this middle state, say you sit there too long and you have this, and you start moving into chronic types of illnesses, and then those start manifesting in your body. It's because you've stayed away from your more positive state longer. So now you're into the more chronic diseases. It could be heart conditions, it could be cancer, it could be any of these types of things, is because you've accepted and you've moved from overwhelmment and frustration, and you've moved into anger and all of these, and you're sitting here in this state, and that is what's being generated inside of your body. So that's what you're giving. You're giving the anger, you're giving all of these different things in this state. So that is what is being, you are receiving. So you're a receiving vessel. So you're absorbing. Like we said before, you have a sponge, now it's open, it's absorbing, and that's what it's absorbing. So the more that we can have awareness when we're in the middle state of overwhelmment or frustration, that'll mean that we are not moving into that state that we don't want to be in. We want to maintain the open state, that feeling that's on this side. We want to maintain that, because when we come over to this side, it's like we're at that bottom of the funnel, like we talked about earlier. You've restricted so much that what you're receiving is just building up inside of you. There's no release. There's no release of, hey, let's just clear everything out. By you moving into your more positive state, you're actually clearing things out, dealing with it, shifting it, moving it aside. But when you go into that more negative space, you're actually restricting it. So you're kind of like containing it all within you, and it's not going anywhere. So if it can't go anywhere, it just starts building up and forming inside of you. So that's where maintaining this law of, it's the path of increase. The more you're on the positive side, the more you're going to be open to receive and allow it to go through you. It's almost like, I just thought of electricity. Like if a lightning bolt came down, you're grounded. So you can receive that increase of energy very quickly and it will go through you. And it's not going to hurt you. You might be like, ooh, when it goes through you. But if you were not grounded, what would happen is it would go through you and you would explode because you're trying to contain all of that energy at once. So here with the giving of receiving, it's like a cycle that's going through on the more positive side for you.
Right. That was great. I love the lightning example. You don't want to explode. Let it flow through you.
You don't want to explode.
Right. Right. So we're at the end of our slide presentation.
Yeah,
and
so just hit stop on that and we can come back.
Okay.
Yes, so we covered a lot of things here.
We did.
In a short amount of time. And so what we have here, let's see what we've got. We did say that we had a special gift for you, so I'm going to bring that up here.
Okay.
Let's see. So the gift is to really be able to spend time with one of us here at Mastermind Magic. So you may have gone through the different videos. All of us, we understand that maybe something that I'm saying, you don't really hear it, but Lisa's saying it and it's crystal clear, something like that. So here the gift is you could click on the button and be able to request a session with one of us, to be able to take that time with you, to be able to explore different possibilities, maybe go into this information a little bit more for you. So that is available to you. So that is on the screen there. Remember that you can always connect with us on Facebook. So inside of the chat area, the Facebook link is on there. You can access all of the information. You can respond to us on there too, message us. That's available for you. And right now we don't have the schedule set for next year on what the webinar series is going to be. So this is our last webinar for this series for this year, and on our Facebook page you'll be able to access the upcoming information. So with that, we do have some things coming up. Was there anything that you have coming up in the next couple of weeks, Lisa?
No, the only thing I'd like to say is I really appreciate everyone supporting the nonprofits that I support that are on my webpage, my Zencouragement Facebook page and all. It's very, very near and dear to my heart, and I'm hoping that you can support them as well as I do.
Yeah. So any way that you can support what we're supporting, we greatly appreciate that. We greatly appreciate that. So thank you very much. So to carry on with this information, actually myself and I have a co-presenter. We're going to be doing Ultimate Emotional Mastery. It's part of the Attract and Win webinar series, and we're going to be talking about the finances, relationships, wellness. We're going to be talking about all of these different things throughout the year. So the first one is going to be on January 9th. So you can register that. I will post a link up soon in the Mastermind Magic page for you to be able to link to that. But you can go to attractandwin.com. So attract, A-N-D, win.com, and be able to access this information and register for the event. So that's something that's coming up that you are welcome to join. And all the information that I was sharing about how you're feeling about things, how to attract different things, we'll be covering that on that webinar. So right now, I think that is everything that we have for today. So we've covered a lot. And again, my name is Athina Salazar, and this is Lisa Houston.
Lisa Houston from Zencouragement Coaching.
And we just truly appreciate that you're here joining us. And if you're watching this in a replay, we love that you're joining us and you gained something from that. So please let us know your thoughts and how we can help you in the future. Any insights that you can give if you've seen this series or you haven't really seen much but this video and you want to, hey, I would really like to know more about this or that, or could you do this? Go ahead to our Facebook page, send us a message, and we'll be sure to incorporate that. So we just wanted to say thank you very much for joining us. Was there anything else that you wanted to say, Lisa?
Yep, that's it. Just blessings to everyone, and thank you for spending time with us and listening to us and learning about the law of receiving.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.